Okay, so I was just going through some of the updates that we pushed to the dashboard this morning relating to events, and I was updating the live Q&A guide. And I thought I'd do a quick video just to quickly run through some of the key features that have been updated. So in this video, I'll keep it as short as possible. And what I'll focus on is the basic layout of the dashboard, the questions, updates, incognito questions, the new features that we've added for polls, pinning, and the event chat room. So let me just switch into the dashboard and we'll get going on the just explaining the updates. Okay, so if you're already a user of Pubble, you'll be familiar with the layout of the dashboard. To access the event section, there's an event option over here. If you're not subscribed to any event apps, you won't have the event icon there. So just keep that in mind. So if I click into events, this here lists all of the apps that I'm moderating. So all of the apps that I'm the moderator for. Okay, so the app that I'll use here for demoing the features that we've added is our live Q&A app. Now, when I click into the live Q&A app, that loads all of the questions that have been coming in for that event. If I want to reply to one of these questions, I would just click into the question, type my answer below. You can share files, you can drop whatever, all you need to do is drag and drop. But most of the responses obviously will be text-based. So, and then I click on send. Now, when I click back into the dashboard, that question is gone out of the new stream and it will be moved automatically into the in progress stream. So if I was done with that question, I didn't need to do anything else with it, I could choose to close it. Notice that it moves into the close tab, number moves from 6 to 7. The only reason that I do that is to keep my in progress queue manageable so that I know I'm not missing anything. So as I said, the key thing to keep in mind here is questions move automatically from new to in progress and they're manually closed. When you're moderating an event, just keep an eye on the questions that have no avatar on them. So if I wanted to assign that to me, I'd click on assign to me. If I wanted to assign to somebody else, I'd assign to somebody else. So if I wanted to assign that to Shane, click on that. Shane is now assigned, his avatar is appended to the question. Okay, so I won't spend too long on that there because those features have been in Pubble there since the get-go. Okay, let me get into the question or the features that have been updated in this latest release. A key change is that you can now pre-add incognito questions, updates, and polls. So you can add them prior to your event and push them live then during the event. Okay, so if you wanted to add an incognito question, you just click on the add question option and I'll say I'm Steve and I'll ask okay, and notice here that because I'm adding it as the moderator who's adding the incognito question is automatically assigned to it. If you don't want that to happen, just click on your name and you'll be removed. Just one thing that I wanted to highlight here is notice that this incognito question is tagged as unapproved. So that means that it won't get pushed into the event when you create the incognito question. It'll be added to the queue and then you can choose to publish when you wish to do so. So I'll click on create. Then I'm done with that. Now, if I want to see the incognito questions that I've created, so I'll just click on the incognito stream up here. And here, this is the question that I just created right now. Okay, so for me to demo there, pushing those lives, what I'll do here is I'll open up one of the quick preview option here, which basically allows you to kind of like see the app and test the app without having to actually deploy it on your site. So I'll just make that smaller there so it can fit on a screen. So this is the bit that would typically be embedded on your website that people are using to actually participate in the event. Okay, so now notice here that the incognito question that I asked is still tagged as unapproved. If I wanted that to go live, I would just click on approved, and now you can see there's one new post over here, and that question will get pushed in. Notice just incidentally here, this update here has obviously been pinned. So Steve's question here actually gets pushed in below that. I'll talk about pinning in a second, but if I wanted to, I could actually just pin Steve's question and that would move back to the top. Okay, so hope that's clear. All right, so the next, you can pin any piece of content, just when I'm on that, you can pin a question, an update, or a poll. And the reason that you pin something is as questions are coming into the event, you don't want a piece of content like say if you publish a poll and you want people to vote on the poll, it's a good idea obviously to pin that poll to the top of the stream so it doesn't get pushed down by content that's coming in. Okay, so the next thing I'll show you is the updates. So if I wanted to, again, this is the default kind of layout of the screen, but if I wanted to add an update, I can either click this button up here or click the button over here. So I click on an update, and it can be text and images, and just basically kind of think of updates as like live blogging the event. So it's sharing information that complement what's happening on the Q&A. So I just say this is another amazing update. Information, okay, blah, blah, blah. You can share images and files as well if you want to share a PDF or whatever, YouTube video or whatever. But if I wanted to actually, I'm just going to take a screenshot here, just of what I'm publishing there, and I can then attach that file into the event. Like it could be like if it was a university there, maybe an image of the campus or whatever, like and then push on update, and that will basically get pushed into the queue. So see here, this is the update that I just published or that I just created there. Now, if I wanted that to go live, I would basically change the status of it from unapproved to approved. Okay, so I will now. So that's basically the how you kind of like pre-add updates. And again, like if I wanted to actually publish that, I just click on approve and it gets pushed in there. Notice that it gets pushed in below the question that was pinned because obviously the question was pinned. Okay, so the last option then on the new types of content that we support here is a poll. And I definitely encourage people to use polls. We've been running them on events for the last few months, and they're incredibly effective way to get people engaging. Because if you think about it, like asking a question is quite a big kind of thing for somebody to do. Whereas like voting on a poll is such a low barrier. Like if you've got 100 people in an event, you could have 90 plus of them voting on the poll that gets pushed in. So let me show you how to add a poll. You can do it in two ways. Again, add poll button down here, or there's an add poll button at the top of the stream. So if I just click on that and I'd say this. Okay, and I'm going to say one. And you can add, I think it's up to 8 options that you can add there, but most of the options that are most of the time when you're adding a poll, like 4 or 5 would be the, or it could be, 4 or 5 would be the kind of default size of it, size or number of options that you'd add. Okay, so again, the status of the poll by default is unapproved. If I click that, it would change it to approved. So when it's created, it would automatically get published into the event. But I'd recommend leaving it as unapproved and actually publish it from the stream. You can also tag polls. This is optional. Like say if I wanted to tag something with day 1, and then any like what the tags are used for is to filter the polls into categories that make sense to you guys. So like if you had a multi-day event, you might have polls for day 1, day 2, or morning and afternoon session, whatever. So you can tag them that makes it in a way that makes sense to you guys. Okay, so here's the poll that I just added now. And notice that this poll is, it's basically classified as an inactive poll. So if I was ready for this to go live, what I would do is change the status to approved, and I'm going to actually pin this poll to the top. So it appears at the top of the screen. Now the polls are real time. So as people vote on these numbers here, see there's 0 votes on this here. But if I was a member of the public over here and I wanted to vote on option 2, I just click on option 2. Notice that it gets reflected in the dashboard, gets reflected on the poll card for everybody. So yeah, it's a really cool way of using polls. Are really they're really fantastic for just kind of that keeping people engaged in an event, keeping it interactive and keeping it fun. Okay, So that's polls. The next thing that I wanted to show you was it's a really cool feature that we've had in the live chat app for a while, but is the ability to actually chat about the event internally um, among the moderators. So that, if you guys are just like previously, people would have created like a team chat room over here in the team chat section, whereas now the group chat is actually integrated right into the event app. So it's really easy to use. Everybody who's a moderator of the event is automatically subscribed to the chat, and you can chat away internally. Um, and it's very, like you find there when you're using it, it's very, very useful because it's important that the moderators keep in touch with each other during the event, and you can drop whatever in there. You can mention people if you want to highlight something to them. If I say Alan, Alan will get notified that he's been actually mentioned in that chat. Okay, so that's the internal group chat. Actually, by the way, in the questions as well, like say if a question came in and you weren't sure how to answer it, what you can do here, see there's a chat option here. Like this chat option just relates to this particular question. So if I would say here, right, I'm not sure how to answer this one. Can you say Ian? So Ian now will get notified that I need his help on that question, and we can chat internally. Obviously, this doesn't get pushed back to the person asking the question. This is all related. This is internally just for the moderators. Okay, that's that. If I click out of the question, then back in here. There's a couple of other options here that you don't really kind of need to worry about, like send to TP is sent to teleprompter. Again, like that would only be used really for very big events that are using the teleprompter that faces the stage, so the presenters on the stage can like see polls before they're published or have messages pushed to them. But most events you don't really need that. Um, so that's the features that we've added this morning. So I think I've pretty much covered everything. So we ran through the basic layout of the dashboard and questions, how you reply to them, how you push updates. Incognito questions is a fantastic feature. Like really, when you're thinking about incognito questions, it's like sometimes people will have emailed in questions. Sometimes you want to seed the event with questions that you guys want to actually cover or that are important. So incognito questions are a great way to make sure that the event is seeded correctly. And polls are a fantastic way, and just to keep, to mix it up, keep it interesting. It's a very low kind of way, very easy way for everybody to participate. Pinning then, like as I said already there, like a question can be pinned, an update, a poll, all of those can be pinned. So, but only one thing can be pinned at any one time. So if I wanted to say pin this poll, I would actually approve it and then pin it. Notice over here now that the poll has changed. Or if I go back here and say I want to pin a piece of one of the updates that was pushed, if I pin it, it gets pushed back to the top of the stream. Okay, I say I'm in here and I want to actually pin this question. Again, Steve's question there now is back at the top of the stream again, So it's just really easy way of making sure that the content that you want to kind of like keep at the top of the stream doesn't get pushed down. So that's pinning. And again, the event chat room, that's actually a really handy feature because we could see there that like when we started with Pubble initially, we could see that people would be chatting in like Skype or Slack or something like that. So having that chat room automatically created right on top of the event is super efficient, and it means that you guys can chat and communicate without having to actually switch between apps. Okay, so that's the updates. I've updated the live Q&A guide just to reflect the changes that have been made. So access into the dashboard, polls, pinning, all that kind of stuff there is added. So I'll share that as well. Okay, thanks for listening.